Welcome! Today we're going to work on the second session with this painting. The first coat is pretty dry. The second session is where the real work comes in. We fix some of the mistakes I made, not really mistakes, but some of the fast and furious things that happen. This seagull's head looks a little more like an eagle than a seagull, so we'll go in there, get the drawing a little more accurate, kind of brighten up this big dark spot down here, just kind of do some adjusting. Sometimes with a painting this small I can finish it in the second try, the second session, and sometimes I'll need a third one just to kind of do some last adjustments and just kind of get it exactly the way I want it. First thing I'm going to do, take this plastic off that I put on here to preserve the paint. Nice thing about oil paint, this little blobs of paint I have here will still be soft and easy to use. Of my thinner out, this is the odorless thinner. I don't use the really strong smelling stuff. We have a fairly small house, so I just use a little bit of this, and I can reuse this. Just use these old little mason jars. Just use a tiny bit. I'll just have enough to wet my brush. I'm going to use this cadmium red, and I'm just going to mix with my brush right here. Because that's the easy way to do it. I use a little too much thinner, so it's dripping. Oil paint is not very safe. It's slightly toxic, so you really shouldn't be putting your brushes in your mouth or eating or drinking when you're painting. Obviously, I don't follow those rules as closely as I should, but it's definitely not recommended. So I'm just making this color here. I want it to be kind of cool. A cool sort of dark purplish. I'll add a little of this green. If you add green to purple, it'll turn it kind of black. So then you end up with a blackish color that's not as boring as actual black. Alright, now it's too red. Let's add a little more green. That's good enough. Doesn't need to be perfect every time. I like it to be a little bit unmixed. Just gives it a little more interest. And I'm using my reference photo. On my computer, I took out all the color and then I sharpened it up so I could see the drawing better. And then I took a pen. The one bird here is out of focus. I mentioned before some of the challenges with working with photos. I'm not going to make this blurry like this in my painting, so I've got to kind of figure out the drawing on this. Is one reason why the drawing turned out a little fuzzy on that one. So I'm going to work on that guy first because that's the part that's bothering me the most. Let's get his eye in shape here. Again, not really perfectionistic, but the top of his head, I'm going to really focus on just drawing right now so I can get that in there. We can have fun just being crazy with the colors after I get my drawing squared away. And the eyes are really the most important part, really, of any animal. The eyes and getting the underlying anatomy, the skeletal anatomy. And you get those things, and you're good to go. Probably should have put the gold in first, now that I think of it. I'm mixing a little of the blue. I added a little bit of the yellow ochre now. Maybe make that just a little bit less drastically black. So I'm kind of making a slightly warmer. It's still black, but it's warmer than the black we were using before. And I don't want it to be too runny because we just learned my lesson. Don't want it dripping all over what we just did. Let's do this guy's eye first. And in the spirit of just moving around the painting, it's always good to just not get super tight focused on one little part. Sometimes what can happen when you do that is that one little part never looks integrated with the rest of the painting because you worked on it really hard on this moment, and then over here you felt different, and then over here you felt different. So it's good to move around, and I was really focused on these. So I kind of want to get the heads a little smoother, get these eyes looking a little bit less big. Maybe work on this down here. It also kind of helps you relax too when you're working on something as small and fussy as the eyes, to come down and just work on the bottom a little bit. And I'm not going to make this a terribly detailed part of the painting anyway, so let's kind of work on that, and kind of it'll be a little easier, a little less fussy. Let's see what color we want to use for those legs. I'm going to add quite a bit of white. I don't want those legs to be, you can hardly see them in the photo, so I don't want them to be really vivid in the painting either. This brush is really frayed, so that's going to be not super awesome. I'm tired of those fussy little brushes. Time to get out my favorite brush, my long filbert. This holds a lot of paint, and it's very flexible, not stiff at all. So let's get these guys brightened up a little. There we go. I think this painting's probably going to need a third session. I'm going to have to be brightening up a lot of this dull stuff I'm putting on here. Let's work on the bottom a little. Let's get our bigger brush out, which is always fun. Use this filbert, just kind of a fat filbert. And this is kind of it's kind of a dull color. Let's see what we can get in there. Maybe we can do some reflection of this green in there. That's weird. This is too straight across. So let's get my flat one out. I don't really like the flat one so much, but let's use it. I'm just doing a lot of experimenting, you can probably tell. Oops. Let's get a little of that goofy green in there. Let's see what we can do here. Let's reduce that purple. Reloaded. Let's get a little of that and put it in this big mess. I'm just kind of experimenting. See what happens. Might hate it, might not, but if you don't experiment, you'll just keep doing the same thing over and over again. Alright, and that's no fun. I want to do the same thing over and over again. Again, a little darker under these guys. Dampen down some of that stuff there. Even though I'm not aiming to make this realistic, as you can tell, still got to have some of the realism in there with your light. The lighting is just so important. Let's do a little in the sky too. Again, we don't want to only work on this and that. We need to work all the way around. I kind of like how I made these drips in the sky, but because I'm already running out of brushes. So I'm gonna wipe some of this paint off so I don't have to get out yet another brush. I do have all of these available to me still. This big guy I usually only use on a really big painting. I use this guy for putting on gesso. I don't really use this one for oil paint. This is just a store-bought canvas, so I didn't have to gesso it. But I really love these brushes. They're just my favorite. I could use this one up here. I don't really want to get yet another brush dirty. I'm trying to be sensible for once. All right. Okay. I always dip my brush into a little bit of, look at this paper towel. I should probably get a different one. I'm throwing that one away. There we go. Here's one that's better. I always put a little thinner on my brush first before I put it in my paint, so we get a good texture. And I'm gonna. I think that I made that sky color with cadmium yellow and yellow ochre mostly. Possibly a hint of green in here. Let's brighten up the sky over here just a little. And leave in these drips if you like the look of that. That's kind of fun too. You don't really know what you're going to like or not like unless you just kind of experiment around and try stuff. And step back. It's always good to step back, take off your reading glasses and kind of look at how does the whole thing look together. Is it holding together? Are there parts that are just looking a little glaring to you? If they are, what should you do? Darken it up a little, add a hint of a different color. It's a nice thing, you know, you can step back, you're good to go have lunch, come back to it. That's the thing I love about oil paint. 2 days, this has been sitting for 2 days now, and paint is still kind of tacky, so you can always go back and manipulate it, add another layer. Sometimes you need to let it completely dry so that you can almost just start completely over. The worst thing is if you get too many layers of paint on, the canvas starts to lose its tooth, and then it starts to feel kind of gummy and it won't hold the paint very well anymore, because the tooth kind of helps hold that paint in there. This kind of cheap Walmart or whatever store canvases, pre-made canvases, sometimes the canvas doesn't have a very good tooth, so they kind of lose it more quickly than a canvas you might build yourself. Darkening this up a little, because of course our light source is on the other side. Sometimes you gotta make sound effects when you're painting. For instance, that just has to happen sometimes. It's all part of the art. There we go. And I kind of like these little artifacts. See, when the paint kind of accidentally mixes together just a little, I feel like it gives it kind of motion, action. That would absolutely drive many people crazy. If that drives you crazy, just don't use such a big brush. Wait till it dries before you touch the edges. I've always loved those artifacts from when the edges kind of touch each other. It gives it that kind of fun motion. It depends on what kind of painting you want. If you don't like that, try something different. Let it dry a little longer. Try using smaller brushes so that they don't accidentally hit. It's really up to you. Try different things. Oh, and there goes a really enthusiastic drip. I'll wipe that off. I don't really mind the drips. Sometimes they get out of hand though. It goes all the way top to bottom, and then you can leave it, or you have to repaint those sections. I like to, when the edges kind of mesh a little bit too, it kind of integrates the images so they're all kind of part of the composition. Let's get our rockweed reestablished here. There we go. Let's get a little orange in it. Whoops, that's not orange. I thought it was orange. That's from last week. I mean, that's from 2 days ago, so it is a little drier than. Oh, we're getting crazy over here. Here we go. Okay. And we're almost done with this for today, I would say. Let's get this a little darker over here in this corner. Sometimes I mix right on the canvas. I've had, that was cadmium red. I'm like, this is too red. I just take a little bit of blue and go, mix it right on there. Excellent technique for someone as impatient as am I. Oh, this isn't looking too bad. I might do a little adjustment to these eyes before I finish for today. I like how those are roughed in. They don't look great. They look very flat and cartoony right now, but when I come back to this in a couple days, it'll be dry enough I can get in there and actually kind of get the hint of the orb, the spherical shape of the eye. You don't want the outline, right now the outlines of those are just one bland color. It looks very cartoonish and drawn on. But when I come back to it, I'll be able to, with the light coming this way, that brow will shadow it, so the darkest line will be on top. And then the lightest, it'll catch the light a little here, so that even that dark will have a little bit of variation in there to make them come alive and kind of pop out. You can attack that with this, or with the brush. Let's try the paper towel. You can try all kinds of instruments too to make interesting textures. I know some people will take like one of those plastic kitchen scrubby sponges and make textures. You can take everyone, I think almost anybody who's done art or read about art knows, you can paint your whole thing with a palette knife. I've never really done that. That might be kind of fun to try though. I should do a video about that. I've never tried to make a whole painting with a palette. This is my only palette knife. I might have to get a couple other shapes to make it a little more interesting. This one doesn't have a pointy end or anything. I just use this one for mixing when I have the patience to actually mix before I hit the canvas. So that'd be fun. You could use, I was using this to make some texture in my hawk painting. I was getting a little frustrated with all the little fussy details of the feathers. Like these guys have some texture in there, so I could take this and scratch in some texture if I wanted. Might be kind of interesting way to get some texture in there. A little texture over here. So you can try all kinds of things. If you hate it, you let it dry and paint it again. Or toss the whole canvas and start again. Why not? It's one nice thing about painting supplies. The paint can be a little expensive, but it doesn't have to be. These canvas, I got this at, I don't know if this is Amazon or Walmart, but these don't have to be expensive either. So experimenting is the best way to get good. Or if you don't, you don't even have to get good. This is about having fun and forgetting about the worries of life. And I think I'll sketch in this a little more on this leg. So yeah, as long as you don't stress out about it and you're having fun with your experimenting, go ahead. It can be just a good exercises in letting go and being okay with mistakes, being okay with something turning out weird and having a drip go right down the middle of your birds and saying, maybe I'll make that into something else. Happy accident, right? Okay, I think that's going to be about it for today. Just kind of got some of the colors, background, kind of just modified the whole thing in general, worked here and there, added some accents. The third session will be about cleaning up those faces, getting those beaks and those eyes just the right shape. Try not to get too fussy. It's like a balance for me of getting it looking accurate, but not too fussy and too photographic and boring. Kind of like the color composition so far. I want to brighten it up a little, increase that light to dark, the value a little more. It's right from here to here is pretty good value range. Might put some more darks down in here. Might do that right now. But I'm going to try to not look at it and think about it for a little bit. This second session is always the hardest one for me. I always overthink it and go through hating it and being okay with it. And, but that third session is always pretty satisfying when you finally get it closer to what you dreamed of when you started the painting. And well, that went darker, all right, but let's modify that a little. And this has got quite a bit of paint on it right now. There we go. Just wanted to get some more darks in there so it's not so boring. Let's put some of that color in here too. All right. Okay. I'm going to sign off for now. Join me for the third session with this. I really appreciate you coming along for this journey, and follow me for more paintings. We'll do some more acrylic paintings together, and something a little simpler than this. I just wanted to start by bringing you along on a painting I was already working on. Anyway, hope you like, subscribe, and enjoy your own creativity.